It's the third Saturday of the month, so we come together again to talk about Game Club. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me always is Moonpir.
Hello.
And MusiM.
Hey.
This usually doesn't apply, but it applies pretty specifically to this episode. We're going to be talking about a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't played 2064, tap on out for a couple hours, go play that, and then we'll be here.
Yes, it's
as always, we'll be here.
Maybe 6 hours, depending on how quickly you solve puzzles.
It was around 6 hours, yeah. About the game, release October 5th, 2016, and then sort of trickling out onto other platforms. I think Switch is the one that's been released the most recently. Yep. Published and developed by Midboss. Platforms were everything, including Ouya. I think the only thing it didn't come out for was iPhone and Android. But
Wii U?
I think it did. If not, then maybe it just came out on Switch. Time travel, Metacritic 74, OpenCritic 78. Peers for release date. Most importantly, first, Elite Dangerous came out on the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Rock Band 4, Transformers Devastation, and Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, which is the indie game that everyone was talking about that month.
Yep.
As we ask every month, top of the pile, middle of the pack, or overlooked?
Honestly, I think this was overlooked for me.
Yeah, I would almost say middle of the pack, because I feel like it got a lot of coverage for its look and being
like a point-and-click adventure in 2016, 17, and 18.
Yeah, like a throwback point-and-click adventure. But I think it flared pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm surprised it scored so low on Metacritic and OpenCritic. Like, I really thought that this was a critical darling. Like, I was fairly certain most people kind of overlooked it at the time, but it seemed like it got good press and continued coming out on things, and people liked it for its kind of inclusive nature.
Yeah, I saw that was under 80, which, of course, is still a really great score. But you sort of look at it and go, oh, okay, sure, that's interesting.
I'm very curious if it's a case of... I can't even remember what the other games were, but games like the forest walking game.
That one.
Yeah.
Ori?
The voice-acted forest walking game where you're the camp guy, you're looking after the forest.
Firewatch. Firewatch?
There we go.
There it is.
It's literally his job description. It's a bit like might be a bit like that, where it's like the fans of the genre start talking about it really highly, then everybody else jumps on. And whereas I think Firewatch is a universal enough game for everybody to continue to sing its praises, this might be a case of fans of the genre like, this is amazing, right. And then someone like me, who's never really played point-and-click adventures, signs up for it, and it's like, it's good, probably not for me.
Right, yeah, a lot of these reviews that I'm skimming over have the criticism that we will probably get into later in the episode, but there's a very clear through line on their criticism. So I guess let's get started with what we liked and what we didn't like. So this, you didn't grow up with the point-and-click adventure games like MusiM and I did with like LucasArts and Sierra and all those companies. Because you probably had, what, a ZX Spectrum, maybe?
I had an Amstrad, thank you very much.
Okay.
It's the people talking about the console wars like they've been going on since, the Master System Mega Drive. No. The original console war was Amstrad versus Spectrum.
Yep.
And I was an Amstrad boy.
Yep.
So
and it's the ZX Spectrum, not the ZX Spectrum, Americans. Please.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, did you feel like this was a learning experience or sort of like a very steep hill?
Oh, it was very much a learning experience because it's one of those things. I think we talked about it in my attempt to go through my Steam library where I ran out of time. Mm-hmm. It was a case of I can load up these games from 15, 20 years ago, and genuinely speaking, I really struggle with this type of game because I don't have the necessary learning in the field to be able to jump straight into it. It's like I was talking to my wife about Spider-Man 2018, for example, and how it's an open world Arkham Asylum.
Right.
It's got the same combat style. It's got that kind of thing. But pretty much everybody on the planet who played Arkham Asylum will be able to jump into that game and understand the core concepts of the mechanics and combat and stuff like that, because they've had that tutorial period with Arkham Asylum, similar to Metroidvanias and how you learn the genre by playing the earlier versions of it. I think that's what I'm missing for this. I'm missing the I can't even think of the right term for it, but the base knowledge required to be able to immediately jump in and know exactly what I'm doing. It's very simple, but it's one of those things where it's like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I can use these items on people. Why am I using headphones on a person?
Yeah, it's like jumping into a graduate level history course, and you're like, all right, we're here to talk about. Nope, I don't understand any of these words. All right.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it was a learning
experience. Did you pick up the spoiled milk?
Yes, I did. And I did get my achievement straight away.
You learned quick enough.
Yeah, just pick up everything.
Yep. And I also used the spoiled milk.
Oh, I didn't. I saw some of the deviations in the puzzles, and I didn't have to use that one.
Yeah, I did. It was bad.
I think one of the things I really liked about 2064 is that there's only one instance I can think of that I ran into that uses point-and-click game logic. And that's when you're dealing with formula. To match tones. And I was like, yeah, the headphones. No, that's the donuts I had to look up online. The holiday scones.
Yep, I literally because I've run into that a couple of times. I was like, I think it was the designed poster. I don't know, because the big thing with this game is there's two major arcs for the story. There's two basically like endings for the arc of the story. And I got this signed poster on, which is like, oh, well, he'd never asked for something unless it was near. I was like, okay, so I'm not going to go into my map for this, but what I'm looking for is going to be somewhere on this screen that I'm in. And turns out the poster was in the
coffee shop.
Happy place?
Yeah, Happy Bar or something like that. Yeah, I think one of the things I like about it a lot is it feels, having played a significant number of point-and-click adventure games in the 90s where they were obtuse and really very difficult for no good reason, I feel like 2064 is a really good intro game in that respect. There's a couple of puzzles like the signed poster and the one with formula, but a lot of them are like, okay, I know what I need to use. I have 4 items in my inventory. I've got to use one of those. It's probably this. It's not like some games where it's like, all right, let's crack open my briefcase of 35 items. So we use them one by one. Yeah.
I famously, I don't know that was famous, but what I remember, like from King's Quest V, was you had to get something from this baker, and whenever you entered the screen outside of the bakery shop, a mouse would run by, and what you had to do is you had to find a boot somewhere else to throw at the mouse, so the mouse would run into the bakery, and then an event would happen, so that then you could get the item from the bakery. Like, it was the most nonsensical BS like ever, and I didn't have that here at all. Like, I think another benefit to this game, at least on the Switch version, was we were talking a little bit about this before we went live. The Switch interface, it just selects whatever's on the screen. It doesn't work like a full-blown mouse. So you could always kind of see the things you could interact with, and you knew what the limitations of the puzzle were because of that.
Yeah. Thankfully, there's no the famous point-and-click adventure game, the cat hair mustache puzzle. If anyone hasn't seen that, just Google that. It's the downfall of point-and-click adventure games in the U.S. It's this one single puzzle.
Did they eventually just get to the point where it was like lateral thinking tests? Where it's like, stop thinking of the obvious and just think as sideways as you could. In fact, think about being in a different country, you're that far sideways thinking.
Yeah, no, it was the crux of this puzzle was you had to fake an ID to get into somewhere, but part of it is you had to make yourself look like the ID you had on hand, which required you to get a fake mustache and put it on your face, except the person in the ID didn't have a mustache. And like the way to get about it, it was really bad. Just Google it; it's hilariously terrible. But I did like you were saying, MusiM. I did really like how you could just page from one element to another on the screen. So you could just sort of say, like, all right, I've interacted with everything. It's not on this section of the screen. I'm going to scoot on to the right. Maybe something is over here. All the puzzles were fairly straightforward. And I like that it came down to whether or not you succeeded or failed on late game puzzles, and then your dialogue choices. I like that it came down to, it sort of mixed a point-and-click adventure game with a bit of visual novel decision-making. I thought that was smart.
Yeah, it was a very interesting evolution from what it sounds like, because it also had the thing where you could make friends with people and their opinion of you would matter at the end. Mm-hmm. Your suicide mission, you might say.
Right, yes.
You know, it could depend on who helped you in that and who didn't, and the consequences therein. It's a really, really good jumping in point for me. Like I said, I have bounced off point and click adventure games before. This one I had no problem actually seeing through to the end. It helped a lot because I know we always talk about it with the extraordinary MusiM here with us as well. The music in this game is amazing.
Yeah, I usually don't. So it's composed by Too Mellow. I usually don't like a lot of his stuff. I thought it was pretty solid in this game. It was not a ton of tracks in the game, but what's there somehow not repetitive.
Yep.
His stuff, like I started out pretty lukewarm to what I was hearing, and by the end, I really kind of loved what he did. It was also a little bit surprising too, because I'm used to him as kind of a sample artist, and like And if for people that aren't familiar with what a sample artist is, go look up that Prodigy Smack My B Up. Am I allowed to? I don't know if I'm allowed to. Okay. Go look up that video, and they show how the Prodigy made that song basically from 6 samples and then adding like a kick and a bass to it.
Man, Prodigy made that great Dirt Chamber Sessions album that's all about samples. But I digress.
I guess I haven't heard that one, but like it, you know, Prodigy does that with a lot of their music, and it's a real big technique in hip hop, and that is like his big thing is doing that.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised when this came on, and like he did a lot of synth work in this one. He did a lot of like whether he's playing the piano or just using the piano roll function, he put some effort on that end and kind of went outside the styles I'm used to hearing from that guy. But
he did a lot of the sound effects too, which I think the majority of the sound effects are spot on for, you know, the when you hit the pause button and the like parallax window closes, all that stuff sounds really good. I guess we should mention the voice acting too, that especially Turing.
Yes. Which
their voice actor is Melissa Hutchinson. I don't know if I've heard her in anything else, but man, did she do a great job.
Yes. Dan Reichert did not do a good job.
I only found one line of his.
Dan Reichert was in it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who was he?
He was in the club where Jess hangs out. He's in the back. He's like a green hybrid.
Green-skinned with black outfit.
Yeah, with black shorts on. Says something about the drug in that world, and there's like only one line.
Yeah, and he's at the hospital in the epilogue. I remember that guy. I remember when he talked to him, like, this guy looks dumb, and he spoke, and I thought, this guy sounds dumb. And I find Dan entertaining, so I am not saying that to disparage him.
Oh, right.
But, yeah, and of course, For Moolah was Too Mellow.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that I did not know, but he did a pretty good job. Who else stood out?
Jim Sterling did a really good job.
I immediately recognized him.
Yes.
As MusiM or as Moon said last week, you know, it's weird hearing him not yell about microtransactions all the time, but I thought he did a really... I felt like he played a very middle-of-the-road character that felt really good.
Yeah, he does a good job of particular way I'm going to phrase this might be a bit weird, but he does a very good job of being the politician trying to get his point across and trying to constantly maintain that outer exterior of being calm and rational and not about to do something extreme, despite the fact that, yes.
I mean, honestly, like the Jimquisition is like 50 to 75% theatrics, so there's no reason, aside from recognizability, that like that dude wouldn't be good at voice acting.
Yeah, I know he's in the weird existential game, like where it's just a bunch of random stuff in a city. I think he's in that as well. This is the only thing I've heard him do.
We Happy Few. If they didn't cut him.
Happy Few.
This game, oddly, like story-wise, like I really like this game a lot. So I just want to say that before I level this criticism. It oddly felt like it was like kind of abstractly completely in love with video game reporters and their viewpoints. Just because it felt pretty diehard for everything they said. And so like having Jim Sterling show up and Zoe Quinn was cool, but it also kind of added to this conspiracy narrative in my head of these guys are just kissing critics' butts right now.
Well, to me it's really interesting because I feel like there are a handful. There's like Zoe Quinn, Jim Sterling, Dan Reichert, Austin Creed. There are a couple of online personalities, let's call them. And then the other half of the voice acting cast are these like really well established, like Aaron Yvette, from Telltale. These really fantastic voice actors. And to me, it's unfortunate because I feel like people are focusing on the 10 lines that Jim Sterling has and like the 2 that Zoe Quinn has, as opposed to Aaron Yvette doing not 1 but 2 accents sounding completely different from how she normally does.
Yep.
That's a fair point. I mean, the main characters, Turing and Tomcat, did great. I thought Detective Lexi Rivers was pretty great too.
I wish she had a larger role in the game.
Yeah. Did you guys spend more time with her than you... Like, what am I trying to ask? So, like, you get the option to turn in the kids, which I guess gives you a little bit more time with her. Did you do that?
Yep, I did do that.
No, I didn't turn them in at all. I actually, I meant to mention, I really liked Ollie and Chad, aka Ollie and Star Effer.
Yeah.
I thought those were two really great characters that I thought I was going to be sick of immediately, and finding out who Chad's father is and why he hates his dad is is Jim Sterling. Everyone's dad is Jim Sterling.
He's Jim Sterling. So.
Yeah. But I thought those 2 characters were good, and I really liked even if the game went this way for everybody, I really liked that you got all of your allies, saving one, because you got to choose between Fairlight and Aunt Melody?
Melody, yeah. Melody something or another that I can't remember.
Yeah, her last name is something I totally forgot. It seemed like when you made the decision to do or not do the thing in the very last act, I like that you got to get everybody together and use all of their strengths.
I didn't because the punks refused to join me because I snitched on them.
Oh, really? No, yeah, I got them to start a riot, and that kept the cops off of me.
I was in the same situation.
So. Oh, wow.
Yeah, Jess started the riot for me.
Jess and the teenagers started it for me. They were both on either side, so it was like a fake riot.
I thought it was a miracle Jess did, because... Like, when I started that game and went into the nightclub, I'm like, okay, this is a video game. It's going to have stupid writing and naming. So obviously the cat person's going to be Tomcat. And then I get, like, this super offended character because of it. It's like,
I actually really liked her voice actor because I think, I feel like she played a fine line of not being too angry, and not too aggressive sounding, but very clearly not wanting to deal with you at all.
Yeah, she gave the impression of being done with this as soon as you started talking to her.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a lawyer. I do this stuff for a living. I'm just here to relax. Please leave me alone.
Yeah. I I really liked Tomcat. I thought I would be pretty annoyed by her character at the beginning, but I think her pouring her heart out and dropping her accent at the end was pretty great.
Yeah.
Did you guys get the story from Jess as to why she ended up having to?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
That's one of those where I'm like, okay, so you got to and you did and the government did okay, yeah, you you should be angry.
Keeps a lot of like pretty in your face metaphors in this.
Yeah. I think I really enjoyed 2064 overall, but I think my one big problem with the game is probably with the story in the last 2 chapters. There's one big decision at the end where you can either, turn all the ROMs sapient, or you can not make a decision and say, like, I'm just a journalist, whatever. I feel like, at least to me, it was never really an option to not do the thing with Big Blue. Like, to kind of not do it and let Parallax win. I felt like the game pushed you a little bit too hard into that, personally.
Yeah, and to be honest, sitting here now with you guys, I kind of wish I'd played the game differently, because we're all relatively nice people. We all have our dark sides, we all have our negatives, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, is all 3 of us are going to go through this game and try and be best friends with everybody. Try and make relationships with them. Yes. I don't know if you guys know, but I did, because after I beat the game, I do the same thing I always do. Let's have a look at the achievements. I've got another 2 full playthroughs to go through at least.
Okay.
Which, it's not too bad. One of the achievements involves turning everyone against you, and basically it sounds like Turing becomes the new Big Blue.
Wow. That'd be cool.
So, I wish I would played it negatively, just to see that side of the ending.
But Turing's so nice, I don't want to piss it off.
Yeah, but you could be a total D-bag to everybody, and there's like Jess's conversation trees are amazing. Whoever came up with the cat puns for trying to annoy her.
Yes.
Full credit to you, Sarah Madden.
Catty, Jess.
Yes.
I would really like to see just how, like, they give you an option almost every time you talk to her. Like, but there's no way that character will let you talk to her for that long if you keep doing that.
Mm-hmm.
The only time that worked well was with that TV personality guy where you kept calling him the wrong name. Like, good job, Chip. I'm sure that'll work.
Yep. Speaking of him, that is where I used the bad milk. Because after I didn't get any answers from him at all, I got kicked out. So then the scared receptionist rabbit girl was like, look, I'm just going to take her a coffee and we'll all be good. And you can take her a coffee and basically apologize for interrupting in her space, in the producer's space. If you put the spoiled milk in that coffee, you get another 2 or 3 chances to have a conversation with that guy.
Nice.
So I got my answer eventually. I may have given someone food poisoning to get it, but I got them.
So at the very end of the game, you have the option to give Turing a present. And I gave him the spoiled milk.
I didn't even know that's an option, because I just picked, like, oh, that's a cool painting. Thank you. I didn't get you anything. I forgot it was Christmas. I didn't even realize you could. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, he gets really upset, and then he puts it back in the fridge.
Perfect. I think one of the things I was surprised about in the game a lot was, not to deviate too much from the ending story, because I feel like there's still more we could talk about there. I was surprised at how much they stretched their engine to, especially when, like, that one woman fell out of the window, and that guy got hit by a bus. That's not the stuff you expect in a point-and-click adventure game. You always expect to show up late, like that one reporter guy, and be like, oh no, he's already dead. Weird. But to see that much action on screen, like cars coming in and back and forth in front of stuff, that was a nice, cool little touch that I think helped the game a lot.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed all of that until the very end, when you had to go through the mazes. And then I did not enjoy them stretching them.
No, that first maze I thought was fine with the auto cab. That last one, I finally got it on the third try, but you move once, he moves 3 or 4 times. That sucks.
Yep.
Yeah. I lucked out on that one. I ran out of all my shots, and then magically I hit the,
he talked himself
thing with it.
Yeah, he talked himself out. Yeah, I that's one of the. I think the guy who voiced the Decker is his name.
Yes,
yeah. Which is a on the nose reference.
Yeah, I mean, come on, that's got to be not totally cool.
Oh, it's it was just on my Blade Runner. There it is.
Yes, that's the one.
Jeez, not my day today. I mean, that has to be a Blade Runner.
Yes.
I mean, all these, like, most of these characters were pretty. I mean, Turing for the robot name. And,
we unfortunately, I don't think we found what Tomcat's real name is by the end, though. She talks about her sister a lot. But
yeah, it's mentioned once or twice. Turing actually mentions it in the final quote-unquote battle. If you mention Tomcat while trying to retain onto her sanity kind of thing, she calls out her actual real name.
Oh, interesting. Well, what's Tomcat's real name?
I don't know. I didn't
something like Totally Normal.
Yeah, it's like Rachel Stevens or something like that. It's just like a completely generic name.
I did like, speaking of Turing's gender, I did like that the game allowed you to choose which gender you felt Turing is, and I liked, as you're having a conversation with Turing, the guy you're trying to help escape was just like, this is crazy, like, I can't believe I'm seeing a ROM do this, and it's like, oh, actually, yeah, like, a little desensitized to it, but yeah, that is a little crazy.
Yeah.
Who did Xavier Woods play?
It wouldn't surprise me if he played that guy. The guy.
Well, and I thought he played that guy, but according to the list Boston shared with us, he did not, unless Xavier Woods' real name is something else.
Oh, yeah, Austin Creed did Vincent. So yeah, it was that guy.
Is Austin Creed Xavier Woods?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
As far as I understand. Is that not his real name?
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
that's
so
not,
far
it's
out
not,
of the loop.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's the Wikipedia says it's Austin Creed. If that's another guy, sorry, I don't know who that is to begin with.
Yeah. I'd say I didn't know 2 Mello's real name till I was looking up credits for this game, so.
Yeah, I didn't either. He did a good job voice acting too. I feel like he played that character. It was probably fun for him to ham up as like a bad SoundCloud rapper.
Yeah, so out of curiosity, because I'm going to go back because there are 4 endings. 4.
There are 6 endings.
I know about one of the joke ones, which is to taser somebody a certain number of times.
Oh, I didn't even know there were joke ones. I just saw, when I finished, I was like, how many endings are there? 6? Never mind.
Yep. A couple of them you only have to get a certain amount of way through the game to get.
Oh, okay.
There's some really interesting ideas behind them. I'm not going to lie, this game tickles on one of my favorite things ever, which is machine sentience.
Yes.
It's, it's the singularity, it's, depending on your definition of the singularity, it's the singularity where machines become think for themselves kind of thing. And the effects of that. And as much as I hate to say this, it's also a very disturbing look into a potential future, what with privatized police forces and stuff like that.
Right. And like scraping the internet and massaging data that gets delivered in certain ways. Yep. I mean, it is a very, for a game that came out 2 years ago, it feels very modern in a really scary way.
Yep, and also very dystopian at the same time. I was like, look at how great Neo San Francisco is. Let's not talk about LA. LA, we don't.
Yeah.
I love that it abbreviates to NSF too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like everyone just calls it Neo SF. Like they don't even call it San Francisco. That's a cool cyberpunk thing. The only thing I wish there was just a touch more world building, because I think the world they started to make is really cool, but you see such a small amount of it. Obviously, you're dealing with a lot of stuff, but it would have been cool if you would have seen more of the city, or like maybe you could watch news broadcasts or read more online from chapter to chapter, that sort of stuff. But you really couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best kind of world building, though, isn't it? It's like, here is the world. Are you interested? Yes. Well, make up the rest yourself, because that's all we've got.
Yeah, the thing that we were surprised earlier in the episode about the reviews being fairly lower than we would have expected. Seems like the majority of the people that had issues with the game had issues with it being very heavy-handed on, we are the good guys and we're doing what's right. Here are the bad guys. They're very bad. Let's stop them from doing their bad stuff. Which I think is fair, but in a 6-hour game, there's not always a ton of time for nuance.
True. I think the most nuanced character to me personally was Fairlight. Like, because he was the definition of shades of grey. Mm-hmm. Like, especially when you talk to Decker at the end, he's 100% is like, I don't know why you're in this. So I'm guessing we all went with the Aunt May route, or Aunt Melody route.
I did, yeah, because I liked her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I'm going to trust this old dude that shows up in my hospital room in a wheelchair who used to be head of the evil corporation in town.
Yeah, like even Turing is sort of like, hey man, I don't know. Like, she's not great, but he's real shady.
Yeah.
They at least had a family connection. I'm like, okay, I can go off of that. Choose a polar bear for a butler. I'm down with that.
And a snooty cat.
And a snooty cat, yeah.
I'm all the way into that. So yeah, I went with May.
Yeah. Man, that voice acting of Decker at the end when he is disintegrating and like just hunting you down in that last maze is man, that was good.
And it's like them talking throughout the course of the like we were talking about world building. Like, I love the fact that I can't remember what Melody's corporation is called. What hair?
Flower Mechanics, Flower something.
Yeah, something like that. Like, they essentially built shock troops, like robotic shock troops, and then based on what Decker says, they also then used human brains in shock troops.
Right.
They literally destroyed North Korea.
Right.
Wiped it off the face of the planet.
Yep.
And then you get to read like some of the media reports and stuff like that. It's like, this is kind of like really dark. Yeah. And I think only Turing is the thing that brings it out of that a little bit and turns it more into the light. Like, if you listen to what everybody is saying about how the world operates and how the world runs, and, you know, the amazing steps they've made in like medical technology and all this kind of stuff, and you got people who are doing body mods because they want to be the way they want to be, kind of thing. It's like, great, it's amazing. But then you look behind the scenes, like, corporations run everything. LA is a wasteland. All these other places are terrible because the world has gone straight to hell. And it's like, I think it's really, really great world building. Like you said, there's a bit more I'd like to hear about it, but the snippets they do give you kind of let you build the rest of the world in yourself.
Yeah.
I guarantee England probably doesn't exist anymore in this world.
Probably.
So this, I'm going to rewind the conversation just a tiny bit. So when you said Dr. Fairlight had good shades of gray, I agree with that until you get to that end scene with Decker. And when Decker lays everything out and what him and Dr. Fairlight are doing behind the scenes, I find Fairlight a lot more evil just from kind of
like all of a sudden Decker's like, here's what's really been going on and it's real bad, but I'm going to kill everyone so that he can be successful.
But then the thing you run into with that is then even Turing says, but was Decker telling the truth?
Right.
Oh, that's a good point.
At the very least, all he wanted to do was kill everyone.
I mean, if Decker has a bunch of side objectives to just not inform Fairlight, like, there's a lot of assumptions going on there. But
But no, you're right. He was fantastically shades of grey right up to that point.
Right.
Because anytime you converse with him before that, he's just like, yeah, I have my goals. Right. So do you.
Right.
And you guys make real good points about Decker too. And I did want to mention one positive thing about the whole Decker maze thing too, was that game had a mass amount of tension at that point. And I think a lot of it was the sound design and the music going on in that section.
Yeah. Like hearing doors open and close off in the distance and seeing like his little silhouette crossing across the screen off in the distance. Like, please don't find me. Please don't find me. I have two more shots left.
I'd be curious, like, if you go to that area without the cop, does that mean he shows up in the last area looking normal and he doesn't have, like, the robotic voice?
Oh, yeah, I wonder.
I wonder if you don't tell him. Like, if you tell Turing to not make all the robots sapient.
I don't think you have that option, because Turing just blurts it out. Like,
but that's what I'm saying, is up to that point, I had agreed with Turing to make that decision to...
Yeah, you have an option to say,
sapient.
I'm just a journalist. I just write the stories. I don't make them. And then you don't actually do anything with Big Blue.
Yeah, that's an ending. I think that's called the Clark Kent ending.
Oh, is it? That's pretty good. Yeah, anything else you guys want to talk about here before we wrap it up? Let's get your final thoughts, MusiM.
I know I've criticized this game a bunch, but like I really love this game. I think this is a really good, entertaining game. I think it uses most of its time with you fairly decently, and like anyone who likes visual novels or point and click adventures, I think this is kind of a must play. I think it's worth your time and worth playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Moon?
Moon? I liked it a lot, like a whole bunch. Like you said, I think it's done a really good job of taking someone who has zero experience in the point and click adventure space, and given me that chance to actually figure out what was so good about them, which is the puzzle logics. It's the character building, the storytelling it does through the actual mechanics more than just the, stick some butter on a lollipop stick and then cat fare on that, stick that on your face.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, it's a lot more entertaining than I thought it would be. It's probably helped in this instance by the outstanding level of the voice acting, because at first Turing just annoyed the hell out of me, like the constant bubbly, kind of thing. And then the second you get to the apartment for the first time and stuff has gone down, it's just like, oh no. It takes it down a notch, and then it becomes a much more nuanced character from that point. So I was all about it all the way through to the end. I think we were talking about the pre-show. Like, I only started this on Thursday due to limited time issues. I finished it in like 5 days, something like that. Like, yeah, genuinely a fantastic game.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add is I agree. I probably liked it less than you guys did, but that was mostly some of the story stuff at the end. I still think it's a great game, and I think if you liked a lot of the story stuff and a lot of the story decision stuff, that's visual novels. Like, just remove the point-and-click adventure puzzle stuff, and that's visual novels. So I think if you enjoyed some of that stuff, there are definitely some beginner visual novels to kind of take going off that. And if you like 2064 and you haven't played the Phoenix Wright games, go do that. They're similar and really good.
I will be really soon because they're coming out again.
Oh, yeah, everywhere. All right, let's wrap this up with our next game. The day has finally come. Our next game is Massive Chalice.
Yay!
Out for PC, OS X, Linux, and Xbox One.
House MusiM.
Yeah, let's all roll House MusiM. Go ahead, MusiM.
Point of clarification, I think it uses my real last name, Beauchamp. So
okay, it might, yeah. I don't remember because I found it and picked it once, and I don't remember. Point of note here, this is the rules, quote-unquote rules for this game are very similar to survival games. It's really hard to finish this game, so the three of us and everyone listening at home, don't push to finish it. It might just not happen, and that's totally fine.
This is the police rule.
Yes, exactly. Where it's like, look, make it as far as you can. You want to watch the ending on YouTube? I probably will, because I can never finish a run of Massive Chalice, but we'll all give it our shot. So next month's game is Massive Chalice. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you all next month.